wonderful Marianne Niehaus. She's going to give us some great tips. She's very wise for business. So Marianne, you have the floor. Do you want me to help you do anything over here?
Oh, well, you can just watch the cameras mostly. If you want to sit there and adjust. Thank you. Welcome, and kind of reiterating what Joel said. Thank you guys for coming here today, because I know, and we're famous to but anyway, because it's so important, right? And when I was building the little square about Super Saturday, I was like, wow, let's just build a super future, right? What are we doing here? And so falling back in love with longevity and 90 for life and what we're doing every day. All right. Oh, good. So check your mindset at the door. I did this a while back, but I've made a few modifications to it. So I want to give you guys some fun tips, different things on, everything really is about your mindset, right? So change your mindset, change your life. And you know how I know? Because I did. And I remember I used to sit in my house every day and I'd just be like, I just need to make enough money to pay my bills. Anybody said that to themselves? Just enough money to pay my bills. And guess what? Every month I had just enough money to pay my bills. I didn't have stuff for groceries or to buy new clothes or anything like that, but I could pay every bill that came in the door. So then I started saying, I needed to change my mindset. I need to change what I'm doing here. So on the, so I found this definition, right, of mindset. And it's a fixed mental attitude or disposition that, okay, what's that word? Oh, no, keep going. Isn't there a definition? Oh, sorry. Right there. Okay. Predetermines, right? Predetermines a person's response or a interpretation, right? Interpretation of a situation. Think about that. Your mindset, when you walk into the room, here, how excited are you? What's the first thing that goes through your mind? Oh, another Super Saturday. Or I am so excited to be here. Where is your mindset when you walk in the door here? I'm pumped. I want to find some new stuff. I'm excited to look at this family. I mean, we're just a huge family here. And so just meeting with that, to me, that pumps me up. And all the other stuff is just, the cream on the top. All right. So as we're defining our mindset, I had a couple of things here. So once you guys got a pen and paper, I want you to draw a pie, right? A circle. And let's pretend every morning you wake up and you have a pie. Yes. What's your favorite pie? Think about it. What's your favorite pie? This pie has got to be the pie that you do not want to share with anybody else, except for maybe people. All right. So you wake up in the morning and you go downstairs and you knock your coffee pot on the floor and you're like, oh my God, we're talking coffee. My coffee pot's broken and dang it, I'm going to have a bad day. I want you to take a piece of that pie out of there. Just draw a little piece of pie that you've just given away. All right? Now you go out, you get in your car, all of a sudden you realize you got to get gas. You forgot to get gas last night. You're trying to get to the gas station. You're thinking you're going to be late for work. You're getting all flustered. Anybody been like that? Somebody's slow in front of you. We're not going to talk about the language, but something comes out, right? Dang it. Boom. All right, you got to give out another piece of pie. Now you get to work. One of your people that you work with comes in and they're all complaining, you messed up yesterday, this is blah, 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 whatever the story. How many have been in the corporate world? Stab you in the back, right? And so in comes that person. Oh, I know they're going to say something. They're going to ruin my day. I've already broken my, coffee cup. Couldn't get here on time, coffee pot or whatever. So now you got to give them another piece of your pie. And remember, this is your most favorite pie. pie. Yeah, you feel sick. She's like, oh, I don't want to give this pie away. I don't know if it's pecan. I don't know if it's chocolate cream, whatever it is. Okay. So, end of day, you might have given a few more pieces away just with other situations, meetings, whoever knows, whatever your day is. And then you're on your way home, and sure enough, you're trying to get home, you got to take your kids to soccer, or you got something important to do, and there's that guy again. Different car, same guy. So now you're giving them another piece of pie. Okay, now you get home. You get home to your loved ones, right? And they're the people you really want to share your pie with. But guess what? How much pie do you have left? Half or less. You're tired, you're exhausted, you've been giving your pie away all day. I remember my husband would come home and be kind of pissed. I was like, oh, you've given a lot of your pie away today, haven't you? Because he had nothing left, right? He had nothing left. And so what's our perception of the situation? How much energy and how much of our pie are we going to give away here? Because again, when we're going to sit down with somebody, those are, people who've worked all day, and now you're trying to, like Juliet said, you want to be pumped up. You're going to meet somebody, you're going to talk to them about your business, and what do you got left? You got nothing left. So I don't want to give my pie away to anybody that doesn't deserve it. If I'm giving my pie away, I'm going to give them my love, my care, my appreciation, my gratefulness. That's my mindset about how I'm living my day. And, I don't want to go home at the end of the day and not have any pie left for my husband, for my team. I still need to have that pie for my team. Okay. So, next slide here. Who's responsible for your thoughts? You are. Not the guy in the car, not the, office mate, nobody else is responsible for your mindset, for your thoughts, except for you. Okay. So when you start feeling you giving that piece of pie away, you're like, no, I'm going to take that back. I'm not going to do it. All right. I love this quote. It's kind of interesting. Tom gave me this book, and it's called Tapping the Source. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Master Key System at all. Charles Hannell. I mean, you've seen The Secret and all these books around all of that. So anyway, the law of attraction. So here's what Charles Hannell says, and this was written back in 1800s, right? Okay, you go to the next one. Because the thoughts you hold in your mind determine, listen to this, what happens in your life, it's vital to assume conscious responsibility for your thoughts. Boom. Think about it. You're always talking about that little guy sitting on your shoulder, right? Your subconscious is like trying to control you, but guess what? Once you start taking control of those thoughts, now you're doing something. You're taking we're responsible. And I'll tell you what, the first time I looked, I'm riding my bike, I'm reading some book, all of a sudden I'm like bawling and crying. I'm like, oh my God, I created this. I created where I was sitting, and I didn't like it. Like I talked about earlier, every day was I just need to make enough money to pay my bills. I was feeding my kids top ramen. I got a presentation around my top ramen story. But hey, I realized right then that I was sitting right where I allowed myself to go. Choices I made, my mindset, my interpretation, what I thought was going on. I could point the finger better than anybody. It wasn't my fault. Look at this person made me do it, right? But they don't. I had control, which was, kind of a little devastating when you have to realize where you're sitting and that you helped yourself get there. But also very powerful because I knew I could do something different. Because I knew if I changed my mindset, if I changed the way I thought about things, that other things would come into my life, and they did. I opened the door. I got rid, I talk about getting rid of the sharks, getting rid of the people in my life that were sucking the life out of me. And then I had to become somebody else. I had to go on this journey of self-discovery. And this has not been an easy path. I mean, this took years to do, don't get me wrong. But once I realized that I could do something different, I was excited. And once I discovered longevity, I was even more excited because now I realized that I could do something that was what Joel was talking about, bigger than I was. Before I was so small. I thought so small. I thought that was all I had. And there was no growing or getting bigger. And so I loved what Joel said around there. Okay. So I think the next one here. Okay, how many of you guys, I know some of you have been in some programs where you learn to do different language, right? So you learn to use certain words or not use certain words. So I want you to say this out loud, okay? I'm going to try to get to 5-star. Yeah. How weak is that? You can feel in your body the energy. And when I use the word try, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I got to take that back. That did not feel good. But when you say, I am going to be a 5-star, say that out loud.
I am going to be a 5-star.
The energy is completely different. How many times have you talked to somebody about maybe going to convention? Or how many of you guys are going to convention this year? So San Diego, who wouldn't want? I'd want to go there anyway, but I'm going to go because there's a convention there. All right. So how many people? You talk, and I hear this all the time. Oh, I'd love to go, but now we go. Here comes the excuse. Here comes the lie. Here comes the reason. They're lying to themselves, right? I swear, I know this because I've done it. I mean, I went to convention with a sleeping bag in a minivan that was like a cardboard box with 4 wheels on it with 5 guys I didn't even know. But I got there because I wanted to. I didn't let the but word stop me. Did I have a lot of money? No, I didn't. I just packed a bunch of top ramen, for God's sakes. But, I just knew that it was important for me to be there. I brought a sleeping bag because honestly, on the way there, I didn't know where I was going to stay. I just knew somebody would let me stay with them, and they did. So that was exciting. Can't. Oh my gosh. When somebody was, I think it was at the A&P, and she goes, just get rid of it. I can't do that. Just say I won't. It's not that you can't. You have just chosen that you won't do it. Because all of us can do it if we want to. But our belief and our mindset around it is what? Excuses. It's excuses. I said to my team one time, really, the excuses, they're not for me. They're for you, right? They're for you to get through whatever it is you got to get through at the moment, and you can come up with 1,000,000 of them, and I try them all the time, and then I'm like, it's not true. It's not true. I know I can do this. So why am I trying to talk myself into some excuse so that I can go in front of somebody and say, I could have done that, but, whatever. And the program we were in, we had to pay for when we said those words. And I thought I was pretty positive about the try, can't, but.
It's very expensive.
It was very, very expensive. And I remember sitting in a car one time with a group of people and going to an event. And finally I said, just shut up. Because I can't pay for the rest of this ride.
And you said it there again.
Yeah, I said it there. And that's what I said. But it's true because my mindset was lack of abundance. My mindset was that there wasn't abundance out there. That there wasn't. What's the other word I was trying to think of here? What's the other word? Abundance.
Prosperity.
Prosperity. Yeah. I was in a scarcity mode, and so therefore everything was scarce. Money, really scarce. I had no idea was my thought process, my mindset around money, which, oh my God, the programs I figured out. And, my stepdad passed away when I was like 19, and I was still running my life off of programs of my story that I had in my mind, my perception of what was going on. I mean, I was like, you know, my dad has passed away, and I am still living in that space about the lack of no money, can't spend your money, don't, you know. And so guess what? I remember, has anybody said this before? You know, I'm not here for the money. I just want to help people, which is true. So I want you to write down 3 goals you have in your longevity business. You guys write your 3 goals. Now, I want you to tell me how many of those you don't need money for. How many of those you don't need money for? You want to help people? Denise says it all the time, you can't be poor and help the poor. How many of you want to help people? I want to help people. Yeah. So when you say it's not about the money, it's about helping people, what are you doing? How are you going to help them? Right? I say all the time, I want to retire my husband. Well, I'm not here, you know, it's not about the money. Yeah, it is. If I want to retire my husband, I want to bring him home. I want him to be at my side. It's about the money. And so what happens is we keep pushing the money away. Money flows. Your mindset around money has to be that there is an abundance of it. There is more than enough for all of us. More than enough. And so then my thought process of, all I want to do is pay my bills. I said, no, I want to pay my bills, and I want to have more than enough money to do what I want to do. And let that flow. Let it start coming in. I don't know if it's some kind of, how many of you guys have money mindsets? You know, that you're just afraid to say you want money. You want it to come in. You want it to be a part of your life. And so again, nobody had bad money mindsets. That's pretty interesting. But I did for a long time. Okay, and then I wanted to talk about some books. All right, how many of you guys read books? Nice. Readers, right? I wanted to share, I brought this book. Somebody showed this to me. Again, it's kind of a little bit around the secret and stuff, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or read it. But what, you know, as we are going through this process, or for me, my going through this process of the journey of self-discovery, I just kept getting led down a little, you know, different paths, you know, reading the law of attraction and what have you and everything. And so somebody said, you know, we're talking about gratefulness, and I'm like, oh, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. I really am. I really wasn't. You know, I was grateful when all the good stuff showed up. Thanks for that. But all the other stuff, that I was not so grateful because it didn't show up how I thought it was supposed to show up, right? And so a friend of mine suggested this book to me, and it's all about being grateful. And, you know, it's kind of like, look how nice this is. It almost looks like I've never read it, but you know, I've got lots of else. But I was thinking about Tom's books compared to my books. Trying to keep, Denise, you keep yours nice and pristine. But, and I always do the audibles too. So I'll do the audible, I'll read the book and what have you. But this really opened my eyes to my stance around gratefulness. And I encourage you guys to get this book. If you have you got it, or if you guys have it, yeah. And you would totally agree that it really opens your eyes to gratefulness. And so it's called The Magic. And one other thing I wanted to talk about before I'm done here. Just left my head. What the heck? I don't think I got my synaptic this morning. But there was another book that I wanted to share out there. Oh, no. Oh, okay. So here's another little tool. And this is so profound, and I have done this, and I think, I don't even know where I heard of it, but anyway, so what you do is you take your journal, right, and you write $10,000 down, and then you write down everything you're going to spend, that $10,000. Has anybody ever done this? Okay. So it's really interesting, you know, the first 10 grand was pretty easy. Actually, I was like, hey, I don't want to do all that. So the next day, it's 20 grand. And the next day, it's 30 grand. And when you can't write anymore, then you know that's your lid on your income. I've seen people get to 45 grand and they're like, I don't even know what to do with that. Right?
I could help them.
You can help, yeah, no, exactly. I know, that's what I said, are you kidding me? And then, once you get past that part of, okay, you know, where your mindset is around money and how much you feel you deserve, because you'll get to a point where you'll just, your lid, you know, you'll just seal it, and then you're like, oh, I need to push, because that's when you start giving back, right? That's when you start building these, you know, the Be the Change Foundation. That's when you really, your brain just starts opening up and going, man, I don't really need it. I got all the cars and the boats and been on the vacations, right? Because you're writing them down in your journal day after day after day. And so what I thought was kind of interesting was I got to about 350,000. And I was like, okay. But see now, like Joel said, I got to go bigger. I got to go bigger, right? Because there is where you realize what your, say, belief or what have you, where you are at your deserving level. So push it, just keep pushing it, breaking through it. So keep your pie. I'm telling you right now, keep your pie. Give that to your loved ones. It will really benefit you a lot. Do your journal, do your gratefulness, be one of those, you know, now I'm like, God, thank you so much. Seriously, you just said that, because I'm like, I'm thanking for everything, because you never know what's coming in right behind it. The flow, right? The money flow, the life flow, all of it. Say what you really want. Don't be thinking about what you don't want, because that's going to show up. I can tell you that. And then be careful about what you're saying you do want. Make sure it's the right stuff. Make sure that you believe in what you're asking for. One other thing. Am I out of time yet? Okay, one other thing I want to say. Here's what I want to say. You know, Tom, we did this thing about writing your perfect day. Okay? And if you guys want to do this, Frank Kern, he's got a video on it, but it's about writing your perfect day. And, you know, I wrote my perfect day, and I just kind of looked at it, and I was like, that's pretty mundane, because I wasn't thinking big enough, right? So you write down, it's got to be a Groundhog Day. You write it down. It's like I wake up in the morning, and I smell, you know, the ocean breeze, and the windows are open, and the light's coming in. And I mean, that's how descriptive you have to get. Okay, now you get to pick the people that you get to interact with on that day. Now remember, it's got to be a day, a Groundhog Day. It's a day you got to live. But here's the kicker. You have to smile when you read that. When you read your perfect day. If you are not smiling, if you get to a point where you wrote something, you're like, huh, I'm not smiling on that one. You got to change it. You got to make it something different. It's not resonating. And so I think when I first did this, I wasn't, you know, hadn't grown as much as I have now, but I was limiting myself in what I thought I would be able to do, what I would be able to experience, who I'd be able, you know, and now it's like, I get up in the morning, I talk to the most amazing people. I am so thrilled. I'm generated with energy. You know, we're so excited to work together. Then I go down and I have breakfast with my husband, and we eat this tremendous healthy food, and, you know, and then we go meet our son for lunch and, you know, speak with him, and it was his significant other or whatever, and, you know, now he's engaged. But anyway, it has to make you smile. And I actually did this with a gentleman who kind of had a bad, you know, his relationship with his wife was not all that good. And he goes, I wrote my perfect day. And he goes, and she's not in it. She's not in it. And so you might find not necessarily somebody, but you might find something in your life that you're thinking it's what you need to be doing, it's where you need to be going. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, it's not resonating with me. I can say it, but when I read it, when I look at it, that energy is not there. That smile on my face. And when I think about my perfect day, I get a big grin because I'm doing a lot of fun stuff in it. But at night, you go to bed, and how do you feel? Are you filled with joy? Are you filled with regret? What happens at the end of your perfect day? You're excited to wake up the next day because you're going to get to do it again. Who are the people around you? What's the feelings? What's the emotions? So change your mindset. Check your mindset at the door. When you walk in here, how do you feel? What's your perception? What's your interpretation of what's going to happen here? Are you going to get disappointed? Or are you going to be pumped and excited? All right, thanks, you guys. Thanks for everything. All right. Oh, okay. Now I get to introduce the power couple. So I always have to, say something about Joel's physique and good looks. That's just how it is. But then there's Nikki and her physique and her good looks. So we're talking, you guys are not only going to hear some tremendous stuff, but you're going to get to look at some beauty. All right, you guys, come on up and here's Grail.
Okay, so that little nugget about 10,000, 20,000, I've never heard of that. Like, we could probably close out today. Yeah, so I was just mind blown by that. And Marianne said something interesting about being really specific. Joel and I say all the time, used to say, thank you, God, for the abundance that you bring into our life. Thank you for the financial gain. Thank you for, we would just say it during the day. And we laughed about this a couple weeks ago because we weren't specific about it. Like, thank you for just putting money in our mailbox. Thank you for just, showering us in abundance. Thank you for the roof over our head. We say it all the time. And a couple of weeks ago, I parked with traffic with Aaron, and Aaron's in the car. We just leave the grocery store. I look up in the rearview mirror, and I'm like, wow, that guy is going really fast. And then I thought, oh gosh. And so there was no time. He hit us, and then we ended up hitting the car in front of us, totaled our car out, right? And what did we get in the mail?
Big old picture.
A check. I was like, maybe next time we'll be more specific about it. Like, all things and people intact, we appreciate the abundance that you bring us. Right. So I'm so excited about a topic I'm going to share with you guys today. And the reason I'm really excited about it is it's a topic that's coming from you guys. And so this isn't something I sat down and thought, as soon as Scott said, Nikki, what are you going to talk about? I immediately knew because every single week I do a chicken kind of call with about 7 different women, and they're a half-hour long and they're powerful. We keep them to 30 minutes. They share with me what type of breakthrough they're ready to have, in their business, and either some wins or some struggles, and they dictate the direction of the call. And so I'm just there to be a solution person and guide them through the waters. Because if you guys agree, everybody's at a different level, a different place in their business, right? Mm-hmm. And so after doing Callie, who's you guys just got to hear today, she's brilliant in front of her room, and she was so nervous about sharing her story. Is she not amazing? Yeah. She's amazing. I've been working on doing a weekly call pretty consistently with Callie for about 9 months, and the breakthroughs that she's had weekly, sometimes sometimes we're celebrating, sometimes there's frustration, sometimes there's tears. I mean, you guys understand, it's not this type of industry, it is hard. This isn't easy work every single day, right? And so what I want to share with you guys is I want to not just speak this to you, I want to speak it through you. Because you guys, how many people in here have somebody in your business, in your team? Okay, and if you guys are brand new, just getting started, you're about to have someone in your business. And so I wanted to take you guys, kind of walk you through a little diagram, because we have university, and it takes you through a series of different training tools. And this came to me as it just was an epiphany. Every time I got on a phone call to do a coaching session with one of these 7 women who are just so dramatically different, all of them are in very different places in their life, different dreams, different goals, I realized after a few months of this, there was a very consistent theme. Have you ever sat down with a distributor or a friend or somebody, or just listened to somebody here, and they said, I'm struggling with prospecting, right? I'm just really struggling with prospecting. Or I'm really having a hard time with follow-up. I'm really having a hard time with follow-up. And after several months, I realized there's a very consistent theme. So you guys can write down kind of this little flow chart here. So what is it that we need in order for our business to grow? What do we need?
People.
People. Yeah, so people, it all comes down to people. Whether they're customers or distributors, it comes down to people. You guys agree?
Yes.
And in order to get people in your business, you have to do what?
Talk to
That's right. So it takes some type of action step. You can interpret a dance, you can sign language, you can talk to them, you can send them a link and say nothing, right? You can do there's all kinds of things. It does, however, take some form of action. It takes some form of action. And usually inside of action, there's a series of steps that all of us, me too, right? Scott too, like nobody's exempt from going through the action steps. And so it's gonna take, inside there is, you know, the action steps, there's prospecting, right? There's inviting, there's sharing, again, however you do it, right? Text, email, however you guys are doing it, whatever's working for you. And then there is some form of follow-up. And there's a number of other steps in there, right? You are interviewing them, maybe you're coffee shop interviewing them. Are there not all steps somewhere inside here? And there are amazing tools out there. There's contact mapping, there's Why Do I Builder, and you know, even as easy as those tools are to use, like Callie the other day was like, oh my God, contact mapping. This is her on our coaching call. She is so jacked that she gets like a ding and a reminder that she has to follow up with somebody. She's so excited. And you know how those tools have simplified our life. And did you know that people still, like we are still freezing in action. We're freezing in action because there's something so much deeper than this. So just the other day on a coaching call, this gal's fairly new in the business, not really any network marketing experience. And she's brilliant. I mean, this is an amazing woman. And she says to me, Nikki, I've got a list of people I'm struggling with who to start with, right? And the reality of it, doesn't matter who you start with. Doesn't everyone deserve an opportunity to say yes or no to this? Who are we to judge, right? Who are we to say, you know, Greg, you deserve me to tell you about this opportunity today, but Nick, maybe not so much today, right? So your list, people are equal. Do you then talk to them accordingly, like who's maybe in your warm market? Of course you do. And so the reality of it is, what I want to share with you guys today is there's something so much deeper than this. And part of the conversation that I had with this gal who's fairly new, and she said, I'm afraid of sharing this with them because, you know, they already have a job. I don't want them to have another one. And I said, okay. So there's something we need to work on. And it's the story you tell yourself. Because the story you're telling yourself about what you do is the story that comes out of your mouth. Right? And I did not know Marianne's topic today. I knew it was mindset. I didn't know the direction she was going. Yeah. The story that you tell yourself is the story then that comes out of your mouth. Yeah. Was that for me to hear again for me? That's my husband that knows me very well.
No, that was
Okay.
like a mind-blowing moment.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to quote you on that.
Okay. Yeah, so the one that you have internal dialogue with, right? And so maybe Julie's at home and she's telling herself this story about how she feels about her business and it's so hard. You spend so many hours doing it. It's not successful. And then she goes and she gets presented with the perfect opportunity at the grocery store. And somebody's like, you wouldn't happen to know any way I could work from home and make money, do you? And suddenly she's nervous because she doesn't know how to share the story because of the one she's been telling herself. So everything here, and I want to talk to you guys as if you guys are all Tom and Denise and Scott and Juliet, because in my eyes, you're all as talented. We're all different. We carry our talent different, right? And the reason I want to share this with you guys, I want you to hear what other people are saying when they're struggling through something, right? They hit a wall, and it's because it's nothing here, really. Can people learn how to do an invite? Yes. Can you learn how to share it in any style and with interpretive dancers? Yes. Can you learn how to follow up good, awful, in between? Can you all do it? Like, are you physically incapable of saying, did you like that product or not? No, right? It's actually, we're all very physically capable of actually completing the step. It's the thing that underlies all of this the most, which is the story. And so here's what I want to clarify. I want you guys to think about this and truly put this down on paper, because this is power. This is power. So this gal that I did this coaching call with, she said, I don't want to offer them another job. And I said, okay, it's actually not the people on your list. It's much deeper than that. What we're dealing with right now with you personally is much deeper. So she's fairly new in longevity. And for you guys who are bringing on new people, we have to understand that we need to help them have healthy boundaries, because they think they get here and they've got to be running this business all of the time, listening to the stuff all of the time, prospecting all the time, talking to their husband about it all the time. People are laughing. Give yourself permission to shut it off sometimes at appropriate times, right? So talking about it at midnight in bed with the lights are off, and that's what you're talking about before you go to sleep. It's like not the time to talk about it. Okay, so we talk about your story and the power of that. So for this gal, for instance, she was saying I wanted to have another job. I said, how many hours? Let's talk about your schedule with me and what you're doing. Have you received a check? Right? Yes. Okay. So how many hours do you actually put into this? You come to a Tuesday night event where we teach wealth mastery, right? We teach everything from self-development to personal growth. And when you come to a Tuesday night mastermind event, you're not going to hear us training on 90 for life, because 90 for life isn't going to sign people up. It's you who brings people to your business. Am I right? Yes. So on Tuesday night, people are coming, they're hungry. They're walking away. They're better at their jobs. They're better spouses. They're better friends. They're better parents because of Tuesday night. You're coming to a once a week Tuesday night event. And once a week for 30 minutes, you get personal coaching specifically for you. And how often do you actually work your business? You're a new mom with a job and married who has a fun life. I mean, are you doing this 40 hours a week? No. Like, narrow down how many hours. How many hours are you actually doing it? This was like a, whoa, this isn't a job, right? So I said to her, now think about the story. Your focus is to think about the story you're telling yourself, right? So it's like, oh, I don't want to share this with these people because I don't want them to have another job. Now back that train up. It's just like Marianne said, what kind of mindset do you have? It's like when somebody has a need, we went to get some new cell phones. I'm now an iPhone user. I'm bitter about it. However, I'm getting over it. It's fine. It's fine. I take great pictures. And it wouldn't transfer any of my contacts, which I'm heartbroken over. Anyway, we're at this AT&T store, and this young guy that's helping us sounds very nice. And he's like, oh, what do you guys do? So Joel, tells him a little bit just about who we are, that we're entrepreneurs, and we have our hands in a lot of different things that we're excited about, right? From ministry to, business to just direction of things that we're doing with our home and living, cars. Like there's so many things we're excited about. He's like, wow, I really wish, I could make some extra money. That right there is an opportunity you're going to be presented with. And if you are telling lies to yourself and you're not prepared for the story, isn't that where most people get nervous? Like, oh my gosh, what do I say? It's because you're not practicing even with yourself. So from that gal, she went from, I don't want to give them a job, to when somebody says, I really could do something extra. And she can say, I go to a once a week event where they teach me wealth mastery, where I learn what it actually means to be an entrepreneur. I actually learn what it means to be an entrepreneur. Once a week, I get private coaching for 30 minutes that's specific to me. It's helped my marriage. It got me a different position at my 9-to-5 job, the one we're standing at right now. And any other time I want to, nook and cranny, on a hike, out to lunch, on the phone, or if I don't want to do anything with it in that moment, I pick the hours that I truly want to work. And because I'm a new mom and because of, my life, it's like 5 or 6 hours a week. And I get to make a commission from it. The response from that person is going to be super powerful, is it not? Oh my gosh, it's so powerful. So I gave her permission essentially to really put boundaries behind the story that she's telling. Is that not so powerful? So the reason I want to speak this through you and not to you is some of you may need to hear that today. The story you're telling yourself. Some of you guys may have that really nailed. Now, if you have people in your organization that are struggling along, they feel like they're hitting some walls, and I've sent them, you know, to Longevity University. Well, I'm having a hard time with invite. Follow Longevity University, right? And so as long as they have all the training under their hat that can possibly be given through the university, the step that comes below that is the breakthrough in their story. It's our job. It's our job. Like, there's really not another description in our job other than to teach people how to powerfully tell their story. That's all we have to do. And when people can learn how to powerfully tell their story and attract people into their business, isn't their business growing?
Yes.
Okay, so this comes in two parts, right? Because the story is great. The story is great. If you've got it nailed down and you're going to a once a week event where you stay connected to the vine, and you got personal coaching, and you can jump on morning calls with Scott and a 1-star above call and the blitz call, and you can join. There's calls every day, every hour, I believe, every minute in this company. Okay, you can literally be on anything all of the time. If you're doing all of those things and someone is still frozen, it's like, man, they've got it all. They've got the story, they've got all the knowledge, they got the personality. It seems like this is just it. This came from a separate gal, a separate call. I mean, she to me is like the bee's knees. I'm like, she is just got more talent in her pinky finger to do this. And coaching her for quite a long time, and hearing her wins and her breakthroughs and her struggles and her aha moments. And we get all the way to here. Such a powerful story. I mean, one that'll just bring you to tears. And you know, she freezes. She was freezing telling it. How do I tell it? Well, I'm not sure if I believe in it. Well, what if this and what if that and what do I say? And so there's another level that goes below this. And I'm telling you guys, this can be driven home. And the bottom of that says your why. This, you guys, has been driven home in network marketing, in the corporate world, actually in business altogether for decades. Why are we doing what we're doing? Every company that runs well and is very successful has a vision and a mission statement, right? And what do? They get their team, they get their people, they get behind it. We go to a church called Grace Place. I mean, the mission and the vision of that church is just like phenomenal. And the people that live there, they live or work there, they live by that vision and that mission statement. And so when you guys are out there and you've got a powerful story, and you're at the AT&T store and this young kid says, I'd really love to make some extra money, and you find yourself in a split-second chance to have a new recruit in your business or not. A, because of the story that you have or don't have. And I'm telling you guys, if you don't go home and don't work on this, it will be the difference. It'll be the difference in your business, the story you're telling yourself. So it's the same story you're telling others. However, the gate, it's like the floodgate to sharing such a powerful story. It comes down to why you're here. And I know we've all written it down. I know that you've probably, journaled it and called your mom over it. I know, or not your mom, right? I call my mom. I know that we've probably touched base on that, or I have with some people that I work with, or you guys have with a mentor. You've written it down. You probably wrote it down on a Super Saturday. Most people don't go back and look at their notes. Why you're here has to be something that you visually see. I say put a picture of it on your phone. Because you'll go through all of this. You can be the best inviter, the best prospector, the best follow-up, the best everything. You can have an incredible story. If why you're here and why you're doing what you're doing isn't the thing that's getting you out of bed, then it's going to leave you even frozen in that moment at the AT&T store that's like, oh my gosh, this is it. This guy could be in my business. Why I'm doing this doesn't have me fired up enough to actually open my mouth, or why I'm doing this does have me fired up enough to open my mouth, right? And so were you guys here a couple Super Saturdays ago? I think the last one we had when I talked about the power of, 3 things that really make up a powerful why. Most of you guys here. Of course, it has to be something. They say your why must make you cry. And it would be great if it made you emotional. It'd be great if it did pull at your heartstrings. I say one of the #1 keys about your why is have it impacting someone else. Because we'll often do for others what we won't do for ourselves, right? We often will do for others what we won't do for ourselves. And so if your why includes someone else, and then you tell that someone else, they are now holding your why because it also includes them. You see how powerful that can be? So, for instance, today, Joel and I, after Super Saturday, are going to drive around in Berthoud, and we're looking for just a small piece of land. And we've got some big dreams for what we're going to be doing out there and how we're going to give back to the community. And it includes a lot of people. One of them happens to be our 6-year-old. And she's obsessed with ponies. That's her drawing on the whiteboard over there from like months ago. It says, "Hi, Uncle Tom." And, you know, we happened to mention her. I happened to mention to her that, you know, I'd love to have some land one day. And with land, what can you put on land? A pony. And so a 6-year-old doesn't understand that these things take time. You know, it's like, can we just move right here and have that horse too? That wherever, can these people just move out of their house? And then we just move in, they can leave their pony. And so what's great about saying it to a 6-year-old is it's every day. Mom, you remember that you said that you and Dad were thinking about finding, you know, he's the guy with the money. And so can we talk to Dad about spending the money on a piece of land and have a pony? It's literally every day. Yeah, so maybe it wasn't a mistake. It is like every day in our face. And so the why, if it does include someone outside of yourself, you know, whether it's your parents or your kids or a spouse, and you guys can check in on that, that why is oftentimes what, you know, will push you through. And so on emotional side of me, she's 6. Any of you guys with kids in here? Man, a third of her childhood is gone, right? And so they go from 6 to like 16, and like, I mean, I watched, she's just a phenomenal young lady. I think, oh my gosh, you know, she wants to like lay on my chest and take a nap sometimes, and she's like this tall. And I'm like, this ain't working anymore. Okay. And things don't always have time, because by the time she's 14 and I'm not so cool anymore, right? I was 14 once. Is she gonna want a pony? Is she gonna want me to run around in a pasture with her? Maybe she won't. Maybe she won't. And the reality of that is that we don't have time, right? So that's something that's very sensitive to me. And I think for you guys, if you find that inside of your why, that's like, man, I don't have time. And the reality is, you guys, your parents don't have time. You don't have time. We don't have time. Like, you've got to go chase it now, right? So I hope this helped you guys see for yourself. If new people are what we need in our business to help them also achieve their wildest dreams, the action steps, yes, we all need formal training. Yes, your behind should have already gone through Youngevity University. If you haven't, please do so, right? And honestly, if somebody hasn't gone through it and they ask me questions, I won't coach on it, right? Because my time is valuable too. And the university is so valuable. So go through this, and it is our job. Your only mission as a Youngevity distributor is to teach people how to fine-tune their story, make it powerful, and share it, you know, how to share it properly. And of course, the why is what fuels everything. And if this is falling on deaf ears sometimes, and I'm just being totally transparent, I have been to, I don't know how many events in this industry over 8 years. I've heard the why thing. I've heard it. I wrote it down, written the why down, you know, and left and went to another, and I was excited about it for a day or two, and then came back to another event. I am telling you guys, the people who are on fire with their why are the ones that make the biggest difference in their business. And that's my prayer for you guys today, is that you go home and you guys spend so much time on why you're doing this. Who are you giving back to? Who can you impact with this? Put a picture on your phone. Tell a 6-year-old. That's the #1 advice. Include a 6-year-old in your why that will remind you of it every day, right? And so, again, I'm excited about the trainings I get to offer you guys on Saturdays, on Super Saturdays, because these are trainings that are real, and they're coming from these women that I have the honor of working alongside these really incredible women. So that's what I had to share with you guys today. And now, you know, Joel and I talked last night, and I am such a mindset, such an emotional connection type of a person. And he is very much an analytical bullet points. You know, he loves the steps to things. And so we marry mindset with actual action steps, right? And so on one of this last coaching call, my gal, you know, she finally got here. She finally got here. I mean, tears and everything. And then immediately, as soon as she got here, she said, what are my action steps? And if you don't marry those two, it's like you can be a Y on fire and, you know, you're just kind of, you know, a fart in a skittle, my mom would say. And so the action steps are such a key component. So I'm so honored that I get to share, you know, time with you guys today. Thank you, Scott and Juliet, for believing me and letting me be up here today. And I'm going to bring up my wonderful husband.
All right. Isn't she the cutest? Nice access to the bathrooms. If you can just stretch, just stand up and just stretch real quick. Feels good.
I tried not to, but I couldn't
No,
even
don't
think
stress her.
anymore.
Cool.
I didn't want
There it is. Does that feel awesome or what? Yes. Woo! You guys all night, stretch it out.
Nikki was great. You're going to be awesome.
Oh, thanks,